100 years, nestled on a serene coastal inlet, Dartmouth, Massachusetts seemed out of harm's way, protected, safe. Residents here might never have believed they would become the target of one of the most sophisticated international crimes ever carried out.
I was just numb. I didn't know what was happening.
Joan Harwood plays her part in keeping her community safe, managing the payroll and expenses part-time for her local fire department. Working from home in early 2010, she had trouble logging on to the department's bank account. Her computer was slow, acted up, then crashed. Joan called the bank.
They just told me that some wire transfers had been made from our account.
And you said, what wire transfers? I didn't make any wire transfers.
Exactly.
When she was able to access the account, she was dumbfounded.
It was 6 transactions, almost depleting the account to zero.
How much money was missing?
It was almost $400,000.
Nearly half of the fire department's annual budget was gone, stolen.
How did you feel when you saw all of those withdrawals?
Devastated.
As Joan struggled to comprehend what was happening, why it was that a fire department in the little town of Dartmouth, Massachusetts had been robbed so blindly, she had no idea that across the country, dozens of other institutions had also been hit, some even harder. In Des Moines, Iowa, a Catholic diocese was taken for nearly $700,000. A Mississippi retirement home and a Chicago bakery were also fleeced. And a Michigan facility manufacturing prototype parts for the Defense Department was hit for $5.2 million. In all, some 400 American businesses and organizations were robbed over the internet.
Is it fair to say that this was the biggest cyber crime in U.S. history?
It's one of the largest that we've seen by an organized group.
As the Attorney General noted,
FBI Executive Assistant Director Sean Henry, one of the country's top cyber crime fighters, says most of the businesses and organizations were taken by a single group of computer hackers.
They actually got away with close to $70 million.
$70 million.
But when it came to cracking the case, it wasn't the FBI that played the critical role. It was a university professor and a group of volunteers.
This was a high priority thing for us. We called the FBI and we said, we need to brief headquarters on this today. If money's missing out of your account, who do you call? Do you call the police? No, you call your bank.
His name is Gary Warner, a professor at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, whose unique program combines computer forensics and justice.
So you teach people to fight cybercrime?
That's right.
Warner is also a member of InfraGard, an off-the-radar FBI-affiliated group of about 50,000 members. They monitor the internet and critical infrastructure.
Is it like a private citizens watch group?
That would be a good way to describe it.
Warner had discovered a dramatic spread of a malicious computer superbug called Zeus. The bug spies on users as they type, copies passwords, targeting online banking.
It knows you're on the name of your bank here website. And when it sees you typing into the bank's website, it knows which screen on that website has your user ID and password.
Once the hackers use Zeus to steal your password, your bank account may as well be theirs. Zeus even sends the hackers a convenient text message alerting them when the account is ready to rob.
Within seconds, someone is on your computer doing that wire transfer.
Warner red flagged the FBI after he made a critical breakthrough. He found a common link between hundreds of thousands of Zeus-infected computers. He mapped out the connections in charts that looked like abstract art. The trail led 5,000 miles away to Eastern Europe, to Ukraine.
Who were the masterminds?
They were people we'd never heard of before. These guys were new people. They were establishing a better technology and using it in a way we hadn't seen used before. Some organizers and some good coders in the Ukraine who said, we're going to change the way people steal money.
Warner says the hackers targeted business payroll accounts, transferring stolen cash to personal accounts inside the United States, rather than make slower and riskier international transfers.
That's where the timing comes in. This particular group of Zeus professionals, I have to respect them and call them professionals. They're criminals, but they had their organization down.
Not just good organization, but dazzling ingenuity. To get their hands on $70 million in cash, the hackers turned people into money mules.
The first money mule activity we started seeing was people who would receive an email saying, you can get a work-at-home job.
The work-at-home job schemes employed more than 3,000 people, many of them unwitting American citizens who opened bank accounts where they received illegal deposits.
They'd receive many $9,000 to $10,000 payments into their account. They'd take the money out and wire $250,000 to the Ukraine. People would take 10% commission, and it worked.
But after the banks got wise to the schemes, the hackers came up with an even bolder plan. They recruited dozens of students from Eastern Europe, arranged fake passports and U.S. work-study visas for them, and packed them off to the United States as the new breed of money mule.
And they said, your job is, we want you to use assumed identities and go in and establish bank accounts.
The mules, these students arrive in the United States and they open bank accounts under false names with fake passports.
Right. It's still a little gray on whether the students who were recruited knew that they were being recruited for crime.
But if they didn't know it first, they would soon. As soon as the hackers made transfers to the mule accounts in the United States, the mules immediately withdrew the stolen cash. Then they sent the money by Western Union or MoneyGram to Ukraine and other countries. Or else the mules brazenly stuffed tens of thousands of dollars in cash into duffel bags and flew home with them, of course, taking their 10% cut.
They had probably seen their friends make lots of money and come home and assumed they would come to the United States, make lots of money, and go home.
Some did. Others were arrested, but not all of them. And after the FBI released a poster of mules still at large, Gary Warner made finding them a pet project in his computer lab. He decided the best people to track down a bunch of cyber-savvy students was another group of cyber-savvy students, his own.
And I posted the poster, handed it out to the kids and said, hey, go find these guys.
You made finding these suspects, these money mules, a class project.
That's right. So the students began crawling Facebook pages and vKontakte, which is a Russian version of Facebook, and were able to quickly identify profile pages of almost all of the at-large mules.
They had Facebook pages.
They had Facebook pages with amazing pictures. One of the young ladies is sitting in her apartment with a shocked look on her face with spread $100 bills. You know, nice profile picture.
Not too smart.
Right. Another one has a warm-up jacket that says, I love New York, and he's celebrating in a bar surrounded by the people he's just bought drinks for.
This was a treasure trove of information for you.
We had a good time with it in the lab, honestly.
In September 2010, in an unprecedented FBI transnational sting operation, most of the hackers were taken down. In the United States, most of the money mules were fined, served time in prison, and were deported. But the FBI says some could still be lurking here. Many of the businesses and organizations that were hit recovered most of their funds, although many had to fight with their banks. In Dartmouth, the fire department was lucky and quickly got back nearly all of its money. Joan credits her bank's quick thinking. One of the money mules was caught red-handed trying to withdraw the department's stolen cash.
How did you feel when the money came back?
Oh my gosh, it was a relief. I think I cried then too.
But we haven't seen the last of Zeus.
Zeus infections are rampant still today. There are probably millions of computers in the United States that have active Zeus on their machines right now.
That's why FBI Executive Assistant Director Sean Henry warns that without greater vigilance, there will be more cyber theft.
The opportunity for these groups to make more money online with a perceived less risk is increasing.
Why risk robbing a bank with a gun when you can do it from the safety of your home on a computer?
That's the perception. We've had people sitting halfway around the world in their pajamas with a wireless laptop who are able to access banks around the world without ever leaving the comfort of their home.
Henry says some agencies calculate American losses to cyber criminals in the hundreds of billions.
One recently calculated the annual cost at $385 billion a year.
And he says future losses could be even greater if we don't wake up to the threats.
If I were to tell somebody that there was a bomb in their house, they'd get out. But if I tell somebody that there's somebody in their computer, it just does not resonate because they oftentimes don't see anything missing.
Who is protecting American computers right now?
Consumers are responsible for their home computer, just like you're responsible for protecting the outside of your house. If the FBI gets involved, something bad has already happened.
Richard Engel reporting for us tonight. And by the way, there are a few simple steps you can take to protect yourself online. We've put a list of them on our website, RockCenterNBC.com. Coming up a bit later on tonight, he went from Olympic gold medal winner to